See if we can double tap that note you just said in the incident report, Sharps, about getting ready for our date here with Blue, and you sticking it in, banging it off every piece of metal in that building on the first date. I'll tell you, buddy, you gotta be careful.
SCP.
Alright, well, let me just get back here to a safer place. Well, some of those other ones about recruiters will lie to you inside of here about court systems and standards across the board. I got my tool bag ready to go, sitting right here, a cup of coffee, sub in the fridge, like I was stating before. My proper pre-logs on the exact moment. I have to be able to do things. How you do things, how you slam back some water, get a gallon of something going, take the Tylenol and tear it up. Let's see what it is. Of course, I'm going to go a little bit slower on, like I said, there's going to be a lot of pre-log of where I've been, what I've been doing, who else you been in for
I've never understood that one either. But
Sam 1 to Sam 2.
You're police calling this many miles of Camp Pendleton Highway. Other Marines are driving by you and they're screaming things at you, which really motivate you and want to go out and meet them in the fleet. Like, Boot, I hate you. Pick this up, Boot. Go to hell, Boot. Come to my battalion and I'll kill you. Or I hope I'm your squad leader. I'll thrash you.
That's definitely not a harassable. I mean, there's better words to the vocation, complex conjugatives you got to use. Being from
and it's a long way.
Cemetery.
I got to do this several times.
I hear the dead body saying, "Well, they already got it done. You go through there, you die." Oh, okay. All right. Well, fair enough. Well, as far as moving bodies are concerned and how far any of those kill agent goes, you can just take off the base standard models and M1, M2, Infinity Hot, Infinity Cold are there for Sharps cases. Again, I think that's been a lot of the tone for tonight on the farm for me getting into jumping into the mill mechanics here again for certain subsets, because I love to play the game like that, honestly, and jump right back into the mill. Honestly, you wouldn't, for real, I just need some body metrics in town to where's the gym when you go to it and jump in it, because inside out, upside down, backwards, you got Delhi, Deposit, Walton, Calicoon, and really Delhi Sydney is on the outside, but those are big kind of inside of their own. They have a couple of different handlers work differently through the top end of the town, through the court system, on probation, of how that comes up on the ledger. It would have to, because how would I have to go about graphing the index on whatever comes up for standard model about the hit on the Sharps cases, about, again, just having some lawyer in there. We consider that standard model. In order to protect this system across the board, you need to have something in there that says, well, let's talk about some basic mechanics here on the standard model for tearing up the plates inside here. I mean, I won't be doing this, but there's a good chance some of that might come through on the table probably a little later after training. I would play with my book on that way, but who knows what's on the plate front. Day one, if I'm going to, the answer could be, that's a beautiful rock. Could be grinding some of that down inside of there and flatten it off for some reason. Man, that is a beautiful rock. See what she does. Oh. Done well. Look at that. Look at that thing. This is how it looks. This is real operating out there that doesn't take a fork or a pallet off somewhere. This puts it to that pallet, and that's for real. Well, did it a little different, but you wind up pulling a lot of those garden paths out of there and other broken things are making a pallet out of it, or it's wasteful or not wasteful. Which quarry, who's got a good selling index on those markets for what's the trajectory on freedom for the case here. But yeah, you could rip that down, probably maybe wedges, I don't know, square it up to the inside cut, that's a pretty rough edge right there. I don't know about tables, and maybe they're doing the extra over the curve differentials, and that's still the footage on price and time, which is, I'm good. I can be a calculator, right? Be a gunny, right? When it comes down to it, but generally there's still a standard model for what this thing comes up to be on checklists for double redundancies on. Yes, it can be very efficient. It can be extremely efficient to how you output the autonomous nature of this thing wad enough across the board for, this is me today. You're gonna be, like I said, banging it up. You're gonna first walk in there. That's the first thing. There's a bunch of different ones. I've walked in, had the privilege to walk into many of them. Seen different bosses running this piece of equipment right here. I've run a few big ones. Never one quite that big, but maybe I've run a bigger one a few times against the standard. I have seen just a little bit smaller inside of certain sets. I don't know if it would have been running those kind of rock. There's the cut underneath it for big cakes that come off of that, and usually that lift rating inside of there comparatively to those ones there for the matrix on there. That's what it, Shangri-La over there. Oh, yeah, I think I know where this is. Maybe not exactly 100%, but I think I know where this is. It's a beautiful set right there. Played through on, that's about what the timelines look like. That's what that sounds like right there. Chewing those up. There's a few different ways you can cut that thing, and what they're trying to do. Orders can come in, quality, timelines on the saw for the cut and what they do. In Park Industries, they have a screen terminal over here and a terminal hand here, and then you can do treads. You can do 24s with this, I think. Yeah. Or cut something that's 24 inches inside of here and hit that cube on the marshmallow for what it is for the bunk lay down inside of here. Does it wobble for the wedges, and this table turns. There's a nice table right here with 24 on up and down, but it takes lifts to do this. You can do things with skid steers if the floor is on bunks, and that's that way there, because that would be an M2 matrix of the same set of a different variable. Now, like I said, this is a real nice, heavy, expensive table inside here where you want to make sure you line things up, make things greased, and took care of real good. Yeah, this is on a little bit fast for the operation. Like I said, those are going to be doing things. Once this is done, this starts to tear off. There's a whole bunch, usually a bunch of bunk cleanups and a ditch cleanup inside of there, depending on drainage on the floor for what's going on out there and how long the building's in serviceability before you start to get into the air acoustic flutter of time, where it starts to play different on T10s for floor, on gravity, on engineering systems. That is a realistic idea of start welding in some angle braces inside here comparatively to why Karen got in here. Why the hell didn't you build it? Like, wow, as you do. Banging around. Well, that's where you get to figure out the house on freedoms on that thing coming up later. Yeah, drop in Stonehenge, right? Yeah. Well, it starts to be a thing, and at a certain point, once those gears are in motion, that's where it started to become on paychecks for foods and other things, and it starts to get interesting. Starts to get lively. Oh yeah. Oh, look at you being a superhero. Looking for reeds in there about the cut. They might be trying to drop a 6-inch step out of it and cutting boulders into sets, trying to find money out of it. Like I said, I've had the luxury of playing some nice stuff where it's blue rock all the way back on 4-foot, running all the way through here, laid out sheets, pull outs, 2-foot treads all the way back, run them, throw them on the tread line, which might have been set up over here, running in this direction. Those are running those ways. You could have the singles, you can have the double gantry saws inside here. This could be a wire saw. Basically, the setup on the matrix still run the same way to the shovel ditch territory and the G code, M code. Base system and what this does, being any operational set, this one being bolted to the floor. Generally, when I tell to the operational models outside of there's usually somebody on high staff or over there, but it's still an M1 to M2 on timelines and servabilities a couple of different ways. Now they might be individual cutting some slabs out of here for whatever reason. They might be trying to do something fancy with it because it's got the cubics on the side of there. The thermal said she was solid before you keep throwing in there on certain cuts that are going to be made here and what they're lining that up to be on stuff. Or, stuff. Well, there it is. Stuff. It seems pretty good. I mean, when you had to do the speed on this, as much as that's a tractor force and it's nasty. You try to do this any other way, you're going to hit a brick wall. This thing might as well be made out of unattainabilium. Like, we're talking Wolverine's adamantium bone you're running into here. Cling, you hear the bell. Bang. Oh. You know, let's turn on the top line, because like I said, you're going slow, you wouldn't think about it until it clack. Usually those saws are off in those, because that's a cleanup operation. Change the blade over, do something, turn on. You know, this is off the set right here. You can, I'm not going to say you can't walk through here on certain operations, but this, no. Yeah, this one, no. You're right. That big 24-inch block that ain't definitely going nowhere is where you really are paying attention to the top of those blocks on things while cleaning ditch to make sure the operation is running in a safe system. That's a different animal. Because I'll tell you stuff about the bottom line, the output on that crew to the turnover, whether we talk about that here in this office or in other ones, right? And then that starts to be systems with stuff that comes around town, and that starts to be a problem on this thing being a Python, right? A little deeper. I'll sit on the floor, so it has to be, well, like I said, stone steps on the outside to what needs to do, carve, set here, turn, grinding blade. Well, that's about as wide as a grinding blade, so you can still run the same set on teeth cut ratios to the price of this thing by weights or blockchain, you know, however that played off on the set. It's usually what gets grinding, except for, you know, today it should be burning torch or running the saws or running those, some of those things. It depends on which matrix is in there, how many people they have running for the set. Obviously, I'm green across the board, and I need to find the first line adjustment, which is just a day turn anyways. About, well, I would say things about the torch on the run, and, well, there's things about torches that you got to know, and tanks and other things, and that being the first bit on that before I start running out the plates or start putting them to that. There's that, and there's also other saw sets inside of there. Maybe I'm learning that, where they want me to reset my first clock on there for the 8 bits to get it running, and then, well, then it's really kind of those two for the mill operation where I should be standing. But you never know, winter comes around, you have to be splitting wood and get so that was pretty cool. Catch you on the next one.